Desperation and urgency, they're cousins, but they behave different.
Yeah.
Desperation, you're just desperate for the success that you just don't have patience. But if you create urgency from clarity of what you truly want, do you want financial freedom? Because if you do, you have to understand you're in it for the long haul. Well, thanks for calling in. First of all, I applaud you for taking advantage of this.
Of course.
So I'm here to help you, and if I have experience as to your question, I'm here to give you full transparency from the bottom of my heart. But more importantly, Ander, if I don't have experience in it, I won't dare to give you any of my thoughts. But let's rock and roll, dude.
Yeah, no problem. So the main thing that I'm trying to get to is that I'm young, I've got time on my side, and I've already started my second company, and I'm really trying to push it forward. And the main thing that I'm actually working on is I'm considering putting more of my focus to developing publicity. And I can see that you're already doing that and you're already developing that. And I was wondering if you would have any tips for developing that as well.
Well, cool. Congratulations. So you're on your second company, you said, right, Ander?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, cool. What about the first company? Can you tell me quickly about that? How successful is it? What does it do? How did you scale it?
Yes.
Before you started this second company?
So far, what's convenient about the first company is I started that, as I left in the summary, when my friend was involved in a plane crash, killing his mother and his grandmother. After that, when I was spending about a year and a half with the hospital in him, I was kind of getting into what little work packets could I give him to try and keep his boredom from consuming him while he was in the hospital. So he's from Guatemala, and there's also his best friends from Guatemala. His stepmother owned a textiles company, and we were starting to make scarves together. And we're like, okay, so how can we scale this? We can find somebody down there who makes shirts. We can find other people who are able to produce other things. And since then, it's just kind of scaled. We've already rolled into sales. We're developing our website. Currently, we have a smaller website that's been finished, and we've been doing the majority of those sales in Guatemala. But now that we have been moving it over to the States, we're now sending it over to Sedona. There's also a location in Tulum, and we've also got a couple places in California that are selling the clothing as well. So that's been the main thing. But
got you. Congratulations. So there's a lot of moving parts. And how old is the company?
The company I filed it in 2020.
Got it. So the company's about 2.5 years old, give or 2 years old. Now the second company, when did you start that, and what is that?
I founded that one in just the beginning of December of 2022. So I'd been able to bring enough profits in from the clothing line to where I've actually switched over to coffee, because I've just realized from looking at the business model that I designed, there's a lot less moving parts with the coffee. It's the second largest traded commodity in the US, so there's a lot more people that I'm able to provide for. And the same guy who's my exporter for the clothing is also the same exporter that does all the exports for the Cafe Kubo coffee. And so I was able to just go. One of my main things is I'm very resourceful. I actually flew down to Guatemala. I met the exporter. I met his supplier. I met the warehouse. They gave me a full tour of the warehouse. And now I'm getting my total green beans exported from Guatemala up to the States. Here I'm roasting them, and right now I'm working on
good. Well, impressive.
Yeah, and so that's what the thing is. It was actually recognized by an investment panel down in LA, which one of the people put me onto because he had noticed my clothing brand, and he said, "Hey," he goes, "I would love to market your second company to the other investment panel. See if they'd be willing to throw some money into there. It seems like it's also much more stable. It's able to produce fast, progress even further." Yeah, sounds great.
So good. How old are you?
I'm 18.
Impressive, dude. Impressive. Now you're on a third situation where your questions. Well, I started a business in 2020, Bobby. I started another business in 2022. The first business is a clothing industry, let's just call it. The second one's a coffee.
Yeah.
They both call for a lot of energy because obviously we all have capacity. But now you have a third item that's on your mind of how to do what?
So really what I'm working on now is I want to scale the coffee company as fast as possible. So what I actually did is I actually went and found a person. So I've actually just been Googling online my competitors in the local area, and I found a guy who actually previously owned a mobilized coffee cart, and he was retiring, and he actually had it inactive for about a year because I saw that his health code permit expired. So I went and I actually found the guy, found his contacts, and I asked him about it, continued with that, and I actually bought the entire mobilized cart off of him, and it was rolling in 285 sales a day and approximately $1,100 a day. Fortunately, from this, that was done. That cart had actually already been established for 28 years, almost 3 decades, and he was just retired. He was just getting done with it. So I said, hey, I'll buy that. I'll hire a couple of baristas after I get my coffee brand up here, and I'll be able to not only roll in sales directly from my coffee brand via online, but I'll also be able to roll them in person as soon as I get my green beans exported here. Now, the next fortunate thing about this is actually the exporter realized that I was super enthusiastic and I was super motivated about getting my coffee up here, and he said, so hey, we always do our coffee in shipments of 40-foot shipping containers, and that's going to be spot coffee. If you're willing to learn really about the coffee and you're really getting into this industry, he goes, I wouldn't mind if you would just take care of the entire shipping container and do all the distribution whatever your region is. So I'm actually in California right now. So my region, he said, if you're able to sell the shipping container to other individuals, I'll label you as a coffee trader for my company as well, independently contracted, and you can have 50% commission on every single shipment. And he goes, after a year, we'll bring it down to 30% so that we can keep it consistent as the other businesses scale their consumption of the green unroasted beans.
Okay. And how much capital do you have to be funding all this energy?
So far, I started with nothing. And then I started with $500 that I got from working, doing yard work. And that was back when I was 14. And
how much do you have in the bank, Ander, for this this coffee
right
business?
Now, I've generated around $80,000 that I generated from the clothing brand.
And then is that $80,000 net, or do you have to reinvest that $80,000 to continue expanding and taking care of that clothing brand? You're not going to commingle those funds,
it's
right?
It's gross. It's not net. I definitely got to put a lot of that back into the brand to make sure.
Okay, so forget about the $80,000. The $80,000 is not part of it now. How much do you have as to the coffee business?
I would say I've got about $5K.
$5K. And what's more important to you, Ander, the coffee or the clothing line? Because you're going to have to make a decision because, dude, I was 18 years old too, and I applaud you. You have a tremendous amount of an appetite, curiosity, and energy. And, you know, looking back, and I'm just giving you like a big brother here.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
Can you imagine if you focus on one thing, how much scale you can actually produce? Is your heart and soul, wants, needs, and desires in the coffee or the clothing?
My
line?
heart and soul is really going towards the coffee, and I'm making sure that I don't want to spread myself thin, because I had started to feel that happening with the clothing line. So the clothing line has been a lot slower, and I've been really focusing more towards the coffee company.
Okay, cool, and I appreciate the transparency. Mm-hmm. It's slower because to give you some pushback here, it's only 2 years old. What did you expect 2 years later? Did you expect this to be 10 million, 50 million? I mean, how disappointed are you on the clothing?
I'm a little disappointed. I was looking to at least be over 500K by the second. So I would have to say that the clothing brand, I'm a little disappointed. It definitely has generated a bit of capital for me to get up and running. But I would say that I would definitely by year 2, if I had been a bit more focused on it, I would like to be over $1 million by now.
Okay. So Ander, check this out. Check this out, little brother.
Yeah.
This is all your fault. You said the only reason it's suffering and have suffered is because you've been distracted and not really being all in on the clothing, being obsessed about it.
Yeah.
Would you say that's an accurate statement?
So with the coffee company, I think that the clothing company has not performed as well.
So Ander, what I want to do, so we you know, and I'm just giving you advice, man. This is just from my heart for a moment in time where you and I can share. I mean, you cannot be focused on the coffee thing until you decide what you're going to do with the clothing brand. Either shut it down, grow it, give up on the coffee. Mm-hmm. You cannot, your whole energy is about the coffee, but there's still the clothing brand there.
Yeah.
I'm just being truthful, Andrew.
I would definitely.
Dude, you have such a potential for financial freedom, because I have yet to meet an 18-year-old with this type of good activity, and you're just a little bit all over the place and impatient. And I want to say something to you, if you don't mind. This is just me personally, man. You and I are very similar. We have a lot of appetite. Desperation and urgency, they're cousins, but they behave different.
Yeah.
Desperation, you're just desperate for the success that you just don't have patience. But if you create urgency from clarity of what you truly want, do you want financial freedom? Because if you do, you have to understand you're in it for the long haul. If you're expecting things to happen fast, regardless of what business or product in, it's gonna disappoint you all the time, Andrew. And it's so hard for an 18-year-old to digest that. But if you are able, and I think you are, your life can completely change.
Yeah. So
You got two good businesses, but this is just what I'm sensing. Now you want to say, well, Bobby, how do I take this and create a brand, and how do I get activity awareness on this coffee theme? But again, we're running away from something we started called that clothing thing. That's still a liability out there. You have people that are dependent on you somehow, some way. You may not have admitted, but if you're going to abandon that, then friggin' focus on that and do it the right way. So then you can not make that mistake and give the coffee situation 100% of your energy for the long run, and don't expect in 2 years to be disappointed. It takes minimum 5 years to build a business.
Yeah. So to touch on that as well, I actually have passed off the clothing brand to my designer and also one of my managers. And I've actually seen substantial growth from it of about 50K in the past 3 months from just having them on it. And I've focused onto the coffee company. So to be a bit more accurate with the numbers of the coffee company, I have had it since December, and I've already generated, and I've already gross overall, I'm at about 125K.
I got it. So, okay, even more good information. So you got $5,000 to work with this coffee business. Your heart is no longer in the clothing thing, but it seems like you have people that are moving the needle without you being there. You don't want to be pretty much involved no more. Why don't you sell and agree to money to sell it to these two awesome people, so then you can get a little bit more money towards that 5,000 to focus on the coffee.
So that's actually, that's pretty helpful. Yeah, that's definitely on the table. The other option is in May. The investment panel is flying me down to Los Angeles to pitch the coffee company to the investment panel, and they're looking to give me a certain amount of funds to continue to.
And so I want to give you some advice. Imagine me on the panel and you're getting ready. You have to understand what you're telling me. You need to have to change your presentation, and because if they feel like you're all over the place, you're not going to get any meaningful investors to help you move the needle. And this is just a good prep for you to understand how you're coming across is a hungry young soul. But imagine a Bobby on the panel that has financial whereabouts to invest. This kid is a rock star, but just not now until he gets focused. That's what they're going to say. So you want to be prepared. And how you're prepared, my brother, let go of the branding company the correct way. Give it to these two awesome people that are moving the needle without you. Sell it for whatever you can sell it for, so you can have a few dollars along with that 5,000, because it's really thin. There's not too much capital there. So every penny counts. You got to do this in stages. You're trying to come up with a solution all in one. It's going to be disappointing for you, and you're going to stay stuck there and frustrated. And I don't want to run into you when you're 28 years old and you're still in the same spot because you're not changing.
That's definitely not going to happen. I wouldn't allow that to happen. But yeah, I'll definitely take that in consideration.
Okay.
All right.
I would take it not in consideration. I would take it and attack it. And let me tell you, I do used to say that was not going to be the case. I'm 56 years old, man. And I kept saying that over and over. And I get it, man. I was 18. I love it. I love young people.
Yeah.
And I just wish I had a Bobby to give me this advice. And maybe 25%, if I took in, is going to help me move the needle. But I appreciate your calling. I hope this gave you value.
Yeah, definitely. And some other time, if you're willing to meet again or find another time, I'd be happy to meet again. And maybe if you'd like to check up again another maybe couple weeks down the road, couple months, even after the investment pitch, if you want to know how it goes.
I'm going to leave that up to you.
All right.
Andrew.
Yeah, I'll reach out to you then. Is there
Good luck to you, my brother. Good luck to you, dude. Much love.
Of course, appreciate it. All right, take care.
Be a mate.
Bye.